Cycle Jerks.
Hey, get out of the road, dummy.
Cycle Jerks Podcast.
All right, welcome everybody to Cycle Jerks Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Stewart, and this is a special episode. This is episode number 200.
What?
Yes, hard to believe, 200 episodes. Holy smokes. Since we
So
started,
put that in perspective. So is it once a week? So divided by
It was June of 2021, I think it was, when we started
Wow.
when we started this whole thing. But yeah, over the course of the show, we've had 5 different co-hosts, myself included. We started with Bo Grant and myself, and then we had Sean Remy also in there. And then the 2 gentlemen joining me today are the most recent co-hosts of the show, Dave Dalton and Chris Padavana. Welcome back, guys.
Yeah,
Great to
thanks
be
for
here.
having us, man. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
must, obviously you're hard to get along with. Like no one can laugh.
Nobody likes me.
It's my job. I'm busy.
I got to put up with this dude. But yeah, no,
we
it's
should
been.
we should have when you dropped out, Chris. We should have synced better because we both used the same lie.
Well, at least I was able to get you back, so it's not scorched earth. Yeah, no, I would love to have a co-host, but it's a lot, and everybody's got lives, they got careers, families, and you guys have been pretty dynamic in your careers of late, and that makes things more challenging. Anytime you're going to take on a new position or something, there's like a bit of a deep dive when you're just getting started. So, I mean, I understood both your decisions independently, and I didn't take it personal, although I did curl up in the fetal position and bawl my head off. Yeah, but no, no. But for this episode, I wanted to do kind of like a look back on some of the guests that we've had over the time that you guys were co-hosting, and I've been this week. When I'm writing or whatever, I've just been putting in some of the older episodes and listening to them, and man, there's been some really fun times and some really powerful like emotional moments. And so yeah, I thought it'd be great to get you guys back on and uh, you know talk about your memories from doing the podcast and maybe conversations or things that stood out to you. Anybody want to take the ball there and run with it?
I think there's what? What did
Nothing.
did you know? Somehow you knew I'd go first, and that,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, there was an over under on it, but yeah.
yeah. I'm gonna as we start talking, I'm sure more names will pop up in my because there were a bunch of amazing guests. I thought, um, but I think the 4 that kind of jump out at me, um, Matt Fitzgerald, Jack Ultra Cyclist, um, um, Tara, yeah, how am I saying her name right? The paraplegic athlete, basketball player,
Yeah, Terry Honest.
Terry Honest,
Yeah.
and Marie Soleil Blaze.
Hmm.
Those 4 kind of just jump out at me. And I'm not trying to be even Steven, 2 men, 2 women, but those were ones that had. I mean, Tara had me in tears,
Yeah.
and Jack Ultra Cyclist. I mean, I just continue to follow his stuff. Like this guy never takes his foot off the gas,
Yeah.
and um, yeah, just because just his exploits are unbelievable, and he keeps doing it. It's not like okay, I accomplished something and I'm going to stop. I mean, he's clearly on a mission, to raise awareness about mental health issues and addiction and stuff. And then, what can you say about Matt Fitzgerald? I know you had him back,
Yeah.
but that book, How Bad Do You Want It? It's just so. I mean, I think the last time you had me on, I probably had the same four guests, but they stuck with me, right?
Yeah. Well, you know, Tara, her story is something I'm very close to, because we were good friends. And then just we worked together throughout those races, and there's just so many magical moments that we both shared together. The people's generosity and um, yeah, there was just so many moments over the course of those races that we put on were very emotional moments. I think I've talked about this once before, um, but there was a moment where oh shoot, I'm trying to remember. Man, for the life of me, I can't remember his name. But he was also injured, and there was an award ceremony we were having up at the deck on North Star, and he walked with a cane, and he after somebody gave a speech, then he got up, put his cane down, and walked without a cane across to have a moment with Tara. And that was the longest he had ever walked without a cane. And
Damn.
it was just it was a wild scene. Um, but yeah, there's just been a lot of great moments with Tara over the years. So it was great having her on and getting her stories. And yeah, and Matt, I mean, holy smokes, I what Dave just sent a Hail Mary to Matt after we found out about that book from Marie, and then Matt responded, and what a tremendous guest. And I've read four of his books now, and
Wow.
I'm a huge fan of the guy. I think he's brilliant, and um, that How Bad Do You Want It? I mean, I've gone through that thing three times just on Audible. It's a great listen. And so anyway, yeah, it was great getting him back on for Chasing Mastery, his latest book. And yeah, and Marie, um, that story about increasing her FTP by 18% because of not looking at data, that was something that
Yeah,
really
that led
resonated.
us to Matt Fitzgerald.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
and
how we
that's
got
because
Matt Fitzgerald,
yeah, that's right.
which
It's
in turn got us One Arm Willie. I mean,
yeah, yeah. He
it's
was amazing.
crazy.
Another
Yeah.
crazy story, man. That guy. Yeah. How about you, Chris? Anything that jump out at you from
Don't say
Oh.
Chris Cover. Come on, just
No,
come on.
no,
It wasn't
no.
that great of an episode.
he knows her stories?
Exactly. Uh, I mean, definitely two of them are more personal. One of them I wasn't even on, but definitely Mike Seeley.
Hmm.
Always been an inspiration, in terms of my growth as a younger person, a young man. And I also I'd say Mike Sayers. I just loved hearing all those stories that Mike had, growing up through the ranks of racing. And Dave and I we shared a work experience with Sayers when we were at the track. He was managing a store, or he is still managing a store in Roseville. And you know, uh, hopefully we can talk about this, but we didn't get along with our boss very well. But even talking to Sayers, man, that dude still just put a positive spin on it.
Yeah.
So he's just got that mental attitude of he's gonna make it positive no matter what.
You said that
Well,
from the
I
get
love
go, and
the
I wish I had that switch. So that's
Yeah.
an amazing characteristic. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. He's just he's a beast. So I know there was talk about getting him on a second time just to kind of hear. I'd love to hear more about his director sportif role with BMC. I know he'd reached out to me prior to the Mount Diablo stage of the Tour of California, just trying to get some intel on the hill. It's like, oh, guess I'm the authority.
well, the thing I love about that Michael Sayers episode was, you talked about the intimidation factor, and And it was like you show up at these races and there's all these, whatever Reebok guys or whatever, all these people, these names and these people that have done some things, and it's easy to get intimidated. And he was just like, oh, fuck that. They should be worried about us, you know?
Yeah,
It was like,
right.
that's the kind of, I love that when somebody has that kind of bravado and how it can lift everyone around them to, just have a confidence. Whether it works out or not is another thing, but just to go into an event feeling confident, as opposed to like, oh no, look at all these people and all this
Yeah,
doing all
yeah.
these things, and I'm here
Well,
and I'm just gonna
Right.
get smoked.
It's just
So
yeah,
really
whether
about
we're
it's just about the glasses you put on, right? And it's like something you have to always remember, I think. It's whatever the situation is, you can put on whatever glasses you want. And,
yeah,
he
that's
just
very
looked at
cool.
it, differently
Yeah.
than most of the other guys. So yeah. And so in fact he just did STP yesterday.
Oh yeah.
did
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
yeah.
like something like a little over 10 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild. Yeah.
And
STP Seattle to Portland.
yeah,
Yeah.
Seattle to Portland. Yeah,
Yeah.
Seattle to
You
Portland.
know, I was sitting there to watching, like I asked them, was trying to get some people to ride with yesterday, over the weekend, and they're like, "Nope, sorry, I'm STP. Sorry, I think I was the only one in Danville not an STP, right?" So, and then my wife goes, "Well, what is it?" I go, "It's Seattle to Portland. It's a 2 day thing, blah blah blah." They all did it in one day. I thought it was a 2 day event, and
Yeah.
everyone I know did it in
Well, it's
200. Yeah,
it's 200 miles. So,
yeah.
Ah,
it's TP
piece of
for me.
cake.
For
Yeah,
me, I got two
listen to
things I
Mr.
think of.
300.
Yeah, before I think of Seattle to Portland, when somebody says STP, I mean, okay, so as a giant rep, I think of the STP dirt jumping bike, like Street Trail Park. That's what that stands for. But also, come on, STP
Yes, exactly.
and
That's right.
Seattle, maybe even
Yeah,
Stone
right.
Yeah,
Temple Pilots. Come on,
yeah.
one of the greatest bands. Oh my God, of my high school era. You know,
Oh yeah.
post high school, I think.
Oh yeah. Say
Yeah,
yeah. You were yeah. Yeah. That
yeah,
was
it's
post
like
high
more
school.
more like
So
90s.
Um.
here's one for you, Mike.
Yeah.
I didn't listen, I'll admit it, but how did it go with Thierry Altius?
That was terrible.
Was
Terry's a
it?
clown.
Yeah.
Thierry.
No.
And I say that because it's a very warm spot in my heart. And Mike, I think you know the story. But somehow he was kind enough to take a meeting with me when I was thinking about opening a bike shop. And he took this meeting with me, and we went back and as a matter of fact, I have a shirt on
Yeah.
when he was because he had the United Healthcare, and he was actually in the middle of filling out the application to get his team into the Giro, right? They had this
Hmm.
big binder and mounds of paper, but he's took the time to meet with me, and it was funny. He goes, "I guess I can laugh about it now." Well, he opened my business plan. And he went, "Your rent's too high." And we were in the room maybe 5 minutes. He goes, "Your rent's too high. It's got to be this."
Yeah.
And of course, if ultimately you ask me what sunk 615, I would say, I mean, again, colossal mistakes, but rent, right? So he said it, but he also said, "What brand are you going to take?" And I said, "Well, Trek is in here and Specializes in here, and someone else has Giant." So I was thinking about going to Cannondale. And he goes, because what did I know? It was the only brand that didn't. He goes, "Fan." He goes, "You want Giant?" He goes, "Call my friend. I'll connect you with my friend Stu." And that was like on a Monday, and on Friday, I met with these guys and signed the paperwork.
Yeah.
And Cannondale had been dicking me around for 6 months, and in 5 days, thanks to him, I had Giant, and yeah, I had Giant, and I signed with Giant, and here I am still with Mike
Well,
and
we
with
had a
Chris.
we had a
Right.
good
Yeah,
run, man. I mean,
yeah,
when we first opened 615, it would be really rare that you would see somebody on Diablo riding a Giant. And then over the next several years, yeah. there's a lot of giant bikes on Diablo, and 615 was a big part of that. But
Yeah.
Thierry's one of those special guys. Um, as I travel around and I meet different shop owners, and Thierry and I went through periods where we did a lot of business together, and then we went through periods where we did like right, we did no business together at one point, but there was still I would still go when I'd go into town, we'd still have lunch, even though we
Yeah.
weren't doing business together. And I know, Chris, you have a special relationship with Thierry also. Just truly one of the class acts and a real gentleman in
Yeah.
the industry.
Yeah. He's definitely done a lot, excuse me, on the local scene and clearly on the professional scene.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
just he's a business entrepreneur for sure.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
And yeah, I know, Chris, you worked with him in the Oakland store for a period, and then you know, um, what
Yeah.
was what was that experience like? Was he in there on a day to day, or was he
Um
more?
well, I had two stints with Thierry. So I worked in his Alameda store when he had just opened up the Oakland location.
Oh wow, okay,
And that was, I mean, that was fine at that particular time. I was young and just a busy bee, so he'd come in, he'd see me working, and he liked that. And then years later, I came on to manage the Oakland store when he was kind of getting involved with some .com, and this is pre-.com bust. And so he had me taking care of the Oakland store, and it was a learning experience, you know,
yeah,
positive and negative, but I mean, even though we had our differences on that level, I truly respect Thierry. I mean, there's you always have to take away something good from that,
yeah,
and I still have a lot of respect. There's a lot of people that I worked for that I didn't necessarily agree with, but they were clearly successful business people. So
yeah. Yeah, one of the episodes that really stands out to me. I mean, it's hard because there's a lot, but Derek Teal, he's been on the show twice,
uh,
and
ooh,
we first had him on to celebrate this ridiculous accomplishment where he did a double Everest, and he did it on a road in LA that has an 18% gradient. So just really insane kind of effort, so we got him on to kind of celebrate that, and then, I don't know how long, much later it was, but maybe a year later, he ends up getting hit by a car, and it was a hit and run. And the story that he tells
that was brutal.
about
That
how he was
was,
found, he was basically left for dead on the side of the road.
wow,
This woman who happened to be a off-duty nurse finds him, immediately takes her sweatshirt off and stuffs it into his abdomen because he was bleeding profusely. She may have saved his life.
wow,
And then he ends up going to court, and it's an 18-year-old kid who hit him.
wow,
And he said he was able to look him in the eye and forgive him. It was it's pretty crazy, man. I mean, I got really emotional on that episode.
yeah.
The
Thanks for
wow.
bringing that one up. I forgot about that one, but that
Yeah,
was,
yeah. Just
yeah,
there are several tough parts in that episode. There was a part where he's talking about his wife and his kids, and he had done right after before he'd done our podcast, he did Ted King right after. And he's that he wanted to have kind of like a timestamp of what he was going through at the time, which was chaos and everything. And Ted asked him, he goes, did you think if you when you're laying there on the side of the road, did you think will you ever ride your bike again? He says, I know it sounds like a crazy question, but and and his comment was, no, all I could think about were my three boys, and were they going to grow up without a father? And man, that was one of the heaviest episodes I think we've ever
so,
done, you
yeah.
know? Yeah.
Wow, that is crazy.
But
Yeah,
amazing story of just what he had given to the community in general with Dialed Health. Puts out so much free content. And I use a lot of his stretches. I do this little morning routine, and there's probably of the 25 things I do, there's probably 10 of them that came from Derek, and that's all free. And then he's also a coach, and he has a paid service as well, which is a lot more detailed, and he has athletes and everything. But just
Well,
to,
and he's back to unbelievable what he must have gone through just to come back. And
yeah,
now you see him like I do. I follow him on Instagram, and he's back riding. He's back working out. He's back making his videos as if nothing happened. I mean, I don't know what goes on in his head, but
yeah.
physically, he looks amazing.
Yeah, he's a remarkable cyclist, but and obviously really fit and everything. But I think what came to light in that podcast was just what a remarkable human being he is. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. So that one really stood out. And then also, it was interesting getting the vegan in here, right? Getting the vegan cyclist in here. And
See, I knew you'd bring a bunch of them up, and yeah,
well, you
I
guys have got on with your lives. You got other things, new careers that you're working on and stuff, So, but yeah, the vegan cyclist was something really interesting. And in the episode, we posted a picture, and I think Dave, you found this picture of him, of like his cyclist body and then his new body. And he's obviously still he's an incredible cyclist still, but his body has completely transformed. And his level of detail with his diet and, protein, the amount of grams of protein per calorie, the way that he breaks down his nutrition, that was something that was really interesting, because I think, you look at people on the internet or whatever, you see these people with these bodies, and you wondered, like, good God, how do they get like that, And my body resembles more of Tyler, the cyclist body, than Tyler with his new body. Although I'm working on it, I'm doing weights and trying to get a little bit better that way. But yeah, it was just interesting. That kind of opened like a door into how these people get these bodies, you know? I don't know.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I think it should also be a lesson to. I mean, I think it's different probably when if somebody's uh, making they're making their living as a pro cyclist, right? So they're, let's face it, they're like a jockey, right? Weight is
Yeah.
going to be, but for the amateur cyclist, that I think that the real takeaway from that thing, and you have to go back and listen exactly, but it was a 15-pound weight gain before he saw any noticeable difference in his speed, right? Or something like that. And so he was still climbing these sections. So he put his weight back on. And here we all are, where we refuse to carry a second bottle because it's too heavy, or and then we're trying to lose weight and we won't, we don't carry a multi-tool and all this shit. And here he is. He says, look, I put on 15 pounds and I was still able to do the same times up certain climbs. And I could be wrong, but that was my takeaway. And it wasn't until he reached a certain, like another, like he got to 20 pounds over his, I think he was at 155, and at 172, he was still be able to put out the same power to weight ratios and do the same times thing. And it wasn't until it was harder and he was a little bit slower at like 20 pounds or something like that. And go back and listen to it. But it should be a takeaway for all us amateur cyclists that are doing all this weird shit to try to stay skinny, myself included, right? Like I'm freaking out right now. I'm 5 pounds over what I was at the beginning of the year, and I'm freaking out. Like, and it doesn't fucking make a difference,
I'm glad
you
you
know?
brought that up because I was just sitting there thinking, man, Dave's really let himself go.
Yeah, yeah. I, I waited all week. I was going to use that same joke on you because I know you've been off the bike for a while, and I was going to go, hey, Happy. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, so Chris, you may not know, but Dave and I have and we've talked about it many times on the podcast about with different guests, and it's surprising how many cyclists really do have this weight thing that you know, they're they're fighting. And it's kind of ridiculous because, most cyclists are very lean, especially if you get into the higher levels of cycling. Almost
Yeah.
everybody's lean. But yet there's this dance with with the scale. And
Oh
uh,
yeah.
and then that dictates, maybe how your day starts. If you get up and jump on that scale and you got 3 pounds on you, it's just like, whoa, what happened,
Oh yeah.
When you were racing, because you hit a high level, you were Cat 1 racer, right? I mean,
Yeah.
were you fanatic? But it was a kind of a different era, right? Because I remember when I was younger, I wasn't really that concerned about weight. I don't remember ever getting to that level where I was worried about it. Was that a concern of yours as a racer?
I mean, I don't think it was to that degree. I mean, and I was like 18, 19, and 20,
Yeah.
during that period. So, but I was, as you were talking about that, I was racing with this one guy's name was Paul Brinkley Rogers. And this guy was just incredibly fast. He would, we'd beat these races with all these professionals and he would be top five in the time trials, which is like, that's, you know, a pack race, you know, you can pull off some stuff that you might not normally be able to do depending on your positioning. But
Yep.
in the TT, that's it. That's the race of truth. So
Yep.
anyway, he got on this kick of fruits and nuts. And he got me into it. So that's all we were eating were fruits and nuts. And the rest of the team was laughing at us. But I dropped, I
What
mean,
was
I
it?
was fruits
Fruits and
and
nuts.
nuts.
Roots and nuts.
Fruit.
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 Oh, fruits and nuts. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So just a lot of fruit and a bunch of nuts. And yeah, I shed like another 6 or 7 pounds. So I was probably like 134,
Yeah.
back then.
Right.
And I felt fast. I was definitely fast, but after a couple weeks, my body was just like, I can't take this anymore. It's like,
Right.
Yeah.
give me back to a regular diet.
Well, that was the thing with the vegan that was my takeaway with the vegan because because you just bottom line it on a scale. Well, the scale only gives you part of the story. So you
Right.
could diet yourself into a really light weight, but the vegan story was more about he wasn't just putting on pounds, he was putting on muscle. And it was
Right. Yeah.
about getting the proper amounts of protein so that your body's strong and healthy. And whereas before he was starving himself and then not taking in the right type of macronutrients or whatever you want to call it. I hate that word because I don't even know what it means, but I'm not a nutritionist. So,
Right.
but
I thought
he
you just made
used,
it up. I'd never heard of it.
yeah, he used the word, so I feel like it's appropriate. But yeah, so that was something that, and then we also had, oh, this was early on. We had that fitness gal that was helping us out. Man, I feel bad because
Dara.
sometimes my memory, man, I'm telling you,
Dara.
59. Yeah, Dara, yes. And she was the Dara Richmond, and she brought up the proper amount of protein that somebody should be taking in, and I was getting like half the protein at that time of what her recommendation was. And so yeah, I've really made a point of trying to get more protein. And then when you
Scary
look
thing
at
is, I because of her, I've gone to these protein shakes and I still can't get enough of it. It's still it's an astronomical amount of protein you need on a
yeah.
daily basis.
Well, it's hard to do it and without going crazy on calories. And that's
Yeah,
why the vegan conversation was so interesting. He's doing that grams of protein per calorie. He's got some advanced metrics he's using, to try to pull it off. But obviously not everybody's into that stuff, but the vast majority of our audience are cyclists, and they're all looking for that edge. And so many times we think it's just in becoming the lightest, especially when you
yeah.
look at the right now the tour, and you see Jonas and Pagasha. I mean, these guys are, they're just so lean. It's wild how lean they are. But yeah, there's more to it than just getting lean. Got to get
Yeah.
that protein in. Yeah.
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 So, Mike, I was looking through and I see that you had the guy from Time Bicycles on.
Yep.
You had Jose on. Um, I don't. I'm just spitballing here, but I've kind of well, Chris is still in the business, but I'm so far removed from the bike business, and in all the months that I've been less since I've left track, I'm so immersed in some in frozen pizzas. Um, you know, uh, but what's the status of the bike industry right now? Because you guys see, you had Jose on, and you had Time and a couple of other reps on from the industry, and you're still living it on a daily basis. What's the status of the bike industry? You know, get
I
back.
mean, it's still a struggle. It's getting healthier. There's less compromised inventory. And so, but the consumers are still realizing ridiculous deals at retail. And that's going to come to an end here. And hopefully when that does, we'll start to get back to better profit margins and just better scenarios for retailers
Yeah,
in general. But yeah, right now it's still kind of a struggle for a lot of retailers, and store traffic is down.
Right. And that was always my fear, like during COVID, it's like, or that kind of post-COVID was that, re consumers have been trained for the discount. And so that's going to be a hard habit to break.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
hopefully that comes off quicker than we think.
I don't know if I'm sure you remember this, Chris, because you were one of the retailers that really capitalized on this. When we went through a period with the TCR where we did these paint schemes that didn't really fly at retail. And we did them 2 years in a row. And the second year, we just were stuck with these bikes that nobody wanted. And really, it was just paint at the time. So, we had to just really eat it on these bikes, and we sold them, below our cost. And Chris,
Cheap.
yeah, Chris bought a bunch of them. But I think the carbon Ultegra bike could be had like at what was it, like $1,600 retail or something?
Yeah, we were getting them for like not like nine and some change.
Yeah.
So, and
Hey, wait a minute! Don't be giving away margin here.
well, we were getting them cheap, but
Yes, well said.
but that was a great time because we were selling Orbea, like and Orbea was such a new company, and they were only selling frames. They didn't have a complete bike,
Yeah,
so we were just taking advantage of the giants that no one really wanted in yellow and stripping them down and just
right.
building up these sweet Orbeas with Altegra, and Mavic Caesariums,
Yeah. It's funny
and
Dave brought up Tony Karkland's,
yeah,
and then it just happens we're talking, and Tony was a big part of the Orbea thing for sure.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, but after we had those bikes at that price, it took us several years before we could sell an Ultegra bike at full price
yeah,
because the market had been ruined. But it was our own doing. Yeah, so to your point, Chris, yeah, it's going to take a while for the market to realize like, oh, okay, I guess everything's not being given away anymore.
right,
And yeah, I've been telling everybody and anybody that's not in the that that's a family member or a friend, or it's like go buy a bike right now. If you've ever been thinking about it, now's the right time to do it because you're never going to get deals like this ever again. It's not going to happen.
right, right.
So, but yeah, so to answer your question, Dave, yes, it's kind of
still
the
a struggle.
problem. Yeah, we're we're pulling out of it, but it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas, Chris, on when do you think it might? I mean, I have my ideas, but
Yeah, I don't know. It's like well, where I'm at currently, I'm less involved with the retail side of it, but what I am seeing is that they're, it's the discounted stuff that's moving
hmm
for sure. So, I don't know. It could take another, I mean, optimistically, at least another year,
yeah,
which is sad.
mm, yeah, no doubt. I tend to share your opinion on that. I think I'm hopeful that like maybe by the start of 26, depends on how we finish off this year. but we could see it starting to change at the beginning of 26. Um, but yeah. But the encouraging thing is like we have new products that have been launched and the new stuff is selling through at full retail. Um, right alongside of stuff that's, some cases $100 less that's very similar. So there is still a good chunk of market uh, that wants new product. And
Right.
so that's encouraging. But yeah, it's still kind of a struggle out there.
Yeah, I don't know. I was having a conversation with Chris Robinson, and we were just talking about, consumers and, customers and what's the difference between a customer and a client, and it's like, we were talking about adjusting a work schedule to accommodate your client versus a customer. A customer, perhaps someone who comes in is just picking your brain, isn't necessarily going to continue to use you as a resource. It's going to look for the best deal, versus a client is going to trust in you and buy at retail and continue to use you long term. So do you shift your business to work for a customer or a client?
Right.
And I think you have to
Yeah, and
go with
it's
the client.
little things you can do with your clients, I was having a conversation with one of my retailers the other day, and he was talking to me about a couple of his clients that have done these big purchases from him. And I had suggested, it's like, maybe do something special for them, you know, something simple like, a handwritten thank you card and maybe a gift card to like a local bakery or something, or a brew pub or, just something to let them know that like you're not just a customer to me, this there's and they're few and far between, right? You might deal with a couple hundred people a month, and maybe there's one or two of these people that you would put in that. I mean, it depends on your type of business, but that you would put in that client bracket. And they're spending money in the bike business, and you want them to feel appreciated, and you also don't want them to go anywhere else. So
Right.
taking that little extra measure, and actually when I think about that, it reminds me of you, Chris, when you were at Bicycle Village.
Bicycle USA.
Bicycle USA, right? Oh, I get that
Yeah.
wrong all the time because it's in the Castro Village. But Bicycles USA, where I remember you had like you put notes on the back of the card about some personal details, and then you would follow up with the customer.
Right.
And it's these little personal touches like that can really take somebody from a customer into that client space, and where they become evangelical about you and your store,
Right.
and like, oh, you have to go see this person,
Right.
And those are the kind of relationships that you're always striving for as a retailer, for sure.
Well, yeah, and I think you establish better rapport and friendships when you are asking people about themselves, and if you can recite something back to them and something so personal, with a letter, it doesn't have to be a lot, but it's like, oh, hey, hope your kid's game goes great, and thanks for stopping by, and we appreciate the purchase. It's like, man, that's great. That's awesome.
Right. I remember that the first time I saw you doing it, there was a woman and she had mentioned her dog and her dog's name, and you had wrote on the back of the tag, the details.
Yeah.
And you had a little filing system, so you'd follow up at a later date. I always thought that was really, really smart.
Who is
It's
his
hard,
former self?
it's hard to
Yeah.
remember. I mean, it's hard when you're a retail owner to make the time for stuff like that, because there's so much coming at you. You're drinking from a fire hose pretty much the whole time. And
Right.
then there's probably this feeling, I mean, I've never been a retailer, but I deal with so many of them, but there's got to be this feeling where there's always something that needs to be done, right? If it's not your on the brick and mortar, then it's your website, then it's your email. I just can't imagine. And then also then at that point making the decision to carve out time to send these personalized notes to people.
Right.
But yeah, it's what you got to do to cultivate that
Yeah.
clientele for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things I like about retail is it's like you're always trying to, we're always trying to do our best. to
Yeah.
really serve the customer. I don't know what it is about that. It's like yeah, you just are always trying to put your best effort forward. And it always irritated me when people would get mad at you and thought you were, not doing the right thing. It's like, look, it may not have been the right decision, but I'm always trying to do my best to help you out. So,
Thank
you know.
you. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. So
Back to
let's go
guests.
back. You brought up Danville Bike, and Jose. And the thing that jumped out at me about that interview with Jose, I mean, I've been doing business with this guy as long as I've been doing business with Chris. And actually I knew Jose before I started doing business with him because he was the local Schwinn dealer and we used to trade back and forth. And so I knew him when I was just a little kid, maybe 15 years old. And the thing that stuck out to me was how times have changed because this guy running a bike shop in Danville was making enough money to buy him and his new wife a house in Danville. Can you,
In
I
in a
mean,
swanky neighborhood, by the way.
holy smokes, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just not a reality any longer. And the other thing that really impressed me was at 23, he emptied his bank accounts and he just went all in. And
All the chips, boom.
yep. And he just went all in and he made it work, And he even said, like, he wasn't really into school. He was into bikes and he learned how to work on it at a local shop when he grew up in LA. And, and yeah, he's figured it out. He was confident because he knew the skills of being a bicycle mechanic, but that's only one little tiny part of the whole operation. And
Shit. Yeah.
you got all this money coming in, you got all this money going out, and certainly he learned the hard way in a lot of instances, like many owners do. And but then you start to figure it out, and so yeah, that was really cool getting him on there because I've known him so long, but then being able to really ask him some of these questions that I've wondered.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
I mean,
was
it
fun.
is, it is, it is incredible. I mean, we've had our differences, Jose and I, and I think we're in a good place now. But 1997, is that what is
Hmm.
it? Yeah. I mean, that's unbelievable. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always good to hear those stories of, how somebody started a business. I mean, it's such an adventure, such a monumental task. And
Yeah.
that his was definitely exciting to hear for sure.
Yeah. And another one that jumps out is getting Heather Mason on from the National Bike Dealers Association. And
Okay.
you know, the NBDA has been very influential for so many retailers. And I'm amazed that there are bicycle retailers that are not part of the NBDA, honestly. It's like, whoa, what?
Right?
So since having her on, I've been I'll have that conversation with a lot of shops and I've certainly steered a lot of retailers in their direction because of all the different things they do to support the independent retailer. And so just getting her on and getting to, kind of know her a little bit and all the services that they provide. It's really influential. I know it had a big impact on your time in the when you own the shop, Chris.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to use those kind of tools that are available to you as a retailer. And like you had, I mean, another instrumental one for me who was on the podcast was Kevin Schutte.
Oh man,
I
yeah.
mean, right? I mean, that dude, that guy was like a mentor for me, always, offering advice and a successful business operator. So
Yeah. Yeah, I got a lot of really it was kind of surprising because he touched a lot of people in his career. And
yeah,
I had people just reaching out to me. Do you remember Andy Davis?
yeah,
Yeah. So I hadn't talked to Andy for years and he texted me out of left field. He's like, dude, he says, I just got somebody somehow Cycle Jerks got on my radar and I saw Kevin Chudy and I listened to it and I had such a great time listening to it and I have such fond memories of Kevin and
yeah.
yeah, but there was several emails and comments about Kevin's episode. And yeah, it was just kind of surprising because I mean, Bike and Hike was a big operation in Portland and the surrounding Oregon area, but just surprising at how many people he reached over the years. Very wise guy, wise
Yeah.
man, should say, not wise guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, he always had great advice, and even in his the thing, after his bike shops, and then he gets into solar tubes, and he even was, took brought an extra level of engagement with that, and
Right.
yeah, he's like one of those guys that's going to be successful no matter what he does, and I think that really came through in the podcast with him.
Yeah, I always liked his approach. He's very, calm and cool.
Hmm.
He's got a very a well thought out response. And I was always amazed that we became friends because I was just this young, you know, s- just reactive person. And then here's Kevin. He's just very well thought out. And, we just kind of still hit it off. I was like, did he play off that energy? Did he like kind of like that? Or,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
wonder. Yeah, I wonder, Dave, were you part of the MBDA?
Was.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, that came to me there. But yeah, Kevin was great. And then
Mhm.
also how about Rob Kaplan? Rob Kaplan
Yeah.
was you know, he was an inspiration of mine as a young fella. He was one of the younger reps. And so he was like the first person like I could see like a young person doing this job that maybe I would want to do one day. And yeah, and, he's just such a pro, and he had a big impact on. We sold Mongoose. He was a Mongoose rep, and he's great in that role. But then later he got into electric bikes, and he really was pioneering the idea of selling electric bikes at the IBD level.
Yes.
And he was just a visionary, really, in that way. I mean, maybe, obviously he's working for these companies, but but yeah, he really saw it. But I think way before a lot of us in the bike industry saw it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just talking to him. He's kind of like your dad. He's like you go to him for advice, Yeah, so I was asking him about some career advice just recently.
Yep.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the same not that long ago. So yeah, Rob's a great sounding board, and he's
Yes.
got a lot of connections in the industry, and he's just done a lot, seen a lot. I don't know if you remember the National Bike Registry. Yeah, that was another endeavor that he pioneered and
Yeah.
championed for years. And uh, another one was Jess the Maker. I
I
think.
was just gonna say that. Yes.
Yeah, you brought her, you got her on my radar, and man, she's fun. Have you ever seen any of her stuff, Dave?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
No.
Dude.
She's super creative. She's in the influencer space. But yeah, she's just fun, creative videos, and it's something that I think the cyclists could appreciate, but then people just new to the sport could have a laugh a lot of times
Yeah.
and relate to a lot of her content. So
Her
uh,
Instagram still puts a smile on my face.
oh yeah.
I'm a regular on my feed, and I see it, and she does some really fun. She makes cycling fun. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just did one with like, yeah, it was about like kind of like it was a little sexual. Like the conversation was maybe you could have misinterpreted it in a way, but it was talking about her electric bike, not some other electric device. But
Yeah.
it was really really well done. Uh, yeah, that was
Yeah,
pretty
as
classic.
we get deeper into this, like it's just I'm starting to think like, yeah, you're right. We have a time commitment, but there's a million other guests that I'm sorry to cut that one off, but a million other guests that we could talk about. But I know she's moved on, but Vanessa from the NorCal Interscholastic League, she's moved on now because I think Terry Curley took over. But I I just enjoyed her as a guest because of the impact that they've had on so many kids' lives
Oh yeah.
in you know
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, she's pretty incredible. Vanessa Oswald.
as well. Yeah,
Yuri's better half, and
yeah,
we've had both of them on. But Vanessa has been, I mean, I forget the years, but I was she was part of the early years of NICA forming, and she just gave so much, and she's just got a light, I don't know, she's just fun. She's got a great kind of way of looking at life, and the fact that she's really involved with all those kids over the years, they all
yeah.
benefited from her little spin on life, and yeah, so I really enjoy Vanessa. I get fortunate. I get to hang out with her every once in a while, and so it's pretty cool. When we were in Emporia for Unbound, she was there, and we got to hang out a little bit, and yeah, good stuff.
So speaking of Unbound, quite possibly the funniest moment on the podcast for me personally
Okay.
was when we had Vince Murdoch on,
Yes.
right after he had done the Unbound. And I've told this story a million times, but like in my world, like if I look at like who are the toughest people on the planet, it's got to be the MMA fighters. Like you can say, all these Tour de France athletes or these triathletes that do this. Yes, it's amazing what they can accomplish, but you think about the toughest guys on the planet, it's got to be an MMA fighter. And when he said, "Thought about crashing my bike so that I didn't have to finish," why would
Yeah.
I ever go and fucking do that ride if the toughest guy on the planet is looking for an exit? He's got an exit strategy.
Right. Yep.
But it was just, he goes, I just thought about crashing my bike. I just wanted it over.
Well, I think the difference between fighting and cycling, I mean, there's so many, but I mean, one of the big ones is the time alone in your head, right?
Yeah.
When you're
Oh, yeah.
fighting, you're reacting and you got all this stuff
Yeah.
coming at you. Like I'm some kind of fighter, like I even know what they're thinking.
Yeah.
But it's just like you got this other person that's trying to kill you, basically, standing right in front of you. But when you're on the bike and you're out there for, 20 some odd hours and it's just you and your thoughts you know,
Yeah.
can get pretty
It, it,
weird.
it just hit home because it was not long after I had done Lost and Found, and I was doing Lost and Found, and I said 100 that day, and the next day I was doing the Leukemia Society ride around Tahoe, so I had 100 and 100, and I was 50 miles, 40 miles into this Lost and Found, and I'm like, I could tell people my stomach wasn't feeling good, or I had a mechanical, and I'm out here by myself, and I'm like, who's gonna know? And the only thing that really stopped me at that point was A, I don't like quitting, obviously, but B, like it doesn't fucking matter. Even if I turn around, I still got another 40 miles to go. There's no sag out here.
Right.
So, oh God. And it
I
just, when you
don't.
brought that up, I'm like, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay,
So,
so I don't understand this at all. So Chris, so I don't have that. To me, maybe I don't know because maybe it's because of the guilt I feel like I don't know why I feel guilty about it, but because I do it so much. But I always feel like if I'm somewhere, if I paid to go do this thing and I'm gone on a weekend and my wife's at home, there's no thought that I'm not going to do it. It's like I've already made this thing where my wife doesn't understand me enough as it is, and then I'm going to go and then halfway through I'm just going to be like, I'm done. There's just no way I
Yeah,
can
but
yeah,
I
well,
think
it's
you
interesting.
it kind of crosses your mind sometimes because I've definitely been in a race, where I'm just like, man, if I had a flat tire right now, it would not be the worst thing.
Thank you. Yes.
It's just
Yeah,
like,
the truth.
like on a climb, like climbing a Wente road race, just like, oh man, if I had a flat tire right now, it's gonna be so awesome.
Oh man.
But you could,
Do you guys know the guy David Goggins?
Yeah.
You know
I've
this
heard
guy?
the name.
Yeah, Goggins. Do you know Dave?
No, the name. Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah. He's a former Navy SEAL and
yes.
uh,
Yes.
Green Beret. He's written a book, You Can't Hurt Me, and he's got a crazy take on the English language. A lot of F-bombs, but he talks about your inner bitch.
Okay.
He's like, you got to silence your inner bitch. And
Totally. Yeah.
and so but yeah, when I had that thing at Unbound, I talked about it on the podcast with the Enjoy guys. I don't know if you heard it, but 40 miles, at 10 miles in, I discovered I couldn't stand and pedal. So I had to sit and pedal uh, the whole thing. And so
Yeah.
uh, there are all these rolling hills. The longest climb's a half a mile, but there's 19,000 feet of elevation gain on this ride. And it's when that thing happened to me, and then that was like 10 miles in, and then, it's just like you're talking about these thoughts in your head. And I'm just having all these thoughts in my head. I'm just thinking, there's no way I can finish this
Well,
sitting
yeah.
down the whole way, you know? And then something flipped. I was having like this full pity party, and then it flipped to where like, well, you signed up to this thing for a challenge. Well, you got a challenge now,
Hmm.
and then yeah, it just kind of like I don't know, it's like the
Y-
mental switch that had to get flipped. But I did think about Goggins.
No, but you just said it. That's the difference, right? That's the difference. It's the alone time in your head.
Yes.
And I don't know that I listen. I was on a ride yesterday, and we had three or four mechanicals, and somebody was late, and so we changed the route, and it came up 4 miles short than the original route. It was supposed to be 62, it was 58. I was pissed. I wanted the 4 miles because I had said in my head I want 62. So the fact that would I ever really give up? Probably not. But it's that alone
Right.
time in your head, like Chris said. It wouldn't be the worst thing if I had a flat right now, or it wouldn't be the worst thing if I came down with a sudden bout of diarrhea and I had to pull over and couldn't finish. It's like
Well, that's a little bit much, but
no, that's that's how I was feeling that day. That's the problem. And
Uh,
but you just you overcome it. You silence the bitch, I guess, is what you do. You overcome it. But those
yeah.
when there's no one else around and you're out
yeah,
there writing, it's the thought. Thoughts, weird thoughts creep into your head.
yeah, yeah, totally,
I think the
exactly, yeah,
racing part of it, to Chris's point, so I think the racing part of it really does add a different dynamic to it because, there's a lot of, pride or whatever. You may have these goals for yourself, like, hey, I want to be on the podium every race this year or whatever. People set these different types of goals for themselves. And then you get in a race situation and you're realizing like, oh man, I can't sustain this, you know. Um, and then maybe a flat wouldn't be the worst thing in that moment. Like,
yeah,
right, you're having this
yeah,
realization, like I can't blow this kind of watts for this long. But
Yeah,
right,
I always have like this other, like I think it's that other thing that I talk about, maybe this weird guilt that I feel. Where like I can go from a race with it where I have expectations for myself, and then I can just immediately flip to, "Oh, I'm just having a ride now, you know.
yeah,
Like it didn't work
yeah,
out. I blew up, but I still get to do these 100 miles, and
yeah.
I'm gonna have a good time. And what
yeah.
I don't know, it's just weird. Yeah,
Yeah, well, you get that feeling of like, yeah, I can do this, and I think that's what overcomes that thought of like, I wish I just had a flat tire right now.
oh yeah,
It's like, yeah, like that example of Wente Road Race, I was like not feeling it. And so I was like, I'm up towards the front, so I'm gonna just roll to the back of the pack. And there was no back. I was the back of the pack. So then it was like, oh shit, yeah, I'm in it. Let's
yeah,
do this,
right.
So
Yeah, there's been there are those moments like I've had a few of them where it's down to the kind of the nitty gritty and you're going hard, really hard, and there's like a group, everybody's going hard. And I don't know, there's just something where there's like a confidence that you have where I feel like if I'm suffering this much, I feel like I know they're suffering this much too. And so who's going to break first is kind of like
Yeah.
yeah,
and I just, I love that kind of, uh, I don't know if you call it, and that's not confidence, but like you just have this knowing that hey, I put the work in. I've done everything I can do to get in this position, and who's gonna fail? Who's gonna be the first to pop, or who's gonna be the one to
Yeah.
succeed? And
Right.
yeah, it gets back to mental. Mental is such
Yeah.
a huge part of it, you know.
I always got inspired reading Greg LeMond's book back in the day because he talked a lot about like race tactics and how it's just that poker face, like faking it till
Poker
you
face.
make it, right? It's
Yeah.
like not letting them know that you're on the rivet or letting them think that you're in a better shape than you are, right? Just to
Hmm.
see who's going to break. Because like you said, if you're suffering, everyone else is suffering around you pretty much on the same level.
That's right.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, that's why it's good getting some of these more accomplished racers in like Michael on the podcast. That was really fun.
Yeah, I
Um,
have to go back and listen to that. I take leaving track of as a little bit of a failure, and maybe in other things in life, if you always got that positive spin, and I'll go back and listen to that podcast because that's you
yeah,
know
it's definitely a
I think
good
that's
one.
something a trait that I could improve upon. Let's put it that way.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, you
hey, I
know,
will say, go
go
ahead,
ahead.
go ahead.
Yeah. I was
No,
gonna
I was
say
gonna.
going into Unbound, we had Dan Hughes on, you know, and Dan is like the only four-time winner of Unbound. And
Hmm.
so it was really cool getting him on. But, he admittedly, he was like, I was in the early stages of it, you know. So he says it's like such a different thing now.
Mm.
The, they got world tour pros now are racing this thing, whereas when he did it, the first race was kind of like um it was like, wait, we're gonna do what? And then it's just grown into like this big thing, and it was just cool getting his perspective. And yeah, his wife's quite an athlete too, and
Yeah.
that pod, he's a good storyteller, Dan. And in that podcast, he was talking about um, how he proposed to his wife, you know, and it happened at Unbound, and it was
Awesome.
as she came in from finishing a 200-mile race. He basically proposed to her. So there's a thing where if you do five of the 200-mile uh, unbounds, they make a chalice for you, like this chalice, like a goblet or something, like a king would have, and to celebrate the fact that you've done 1,000 miles of unbound. And so he had a custom chalice made for her that was basically a proposal. It had a
Oh shit.
Yeah, and so she comes in, and after the finish line, and he's like trying to give her this chalice, and he's like, "Yeah, it was just a funny story, And he's like, she's running around like slapping everybody's hands and all this stuff, and he's like, "Hey, I'm over here, I got this. I'm trying to get married here." He said, thankfully she was like dehydrated and didn't really quite have her wits about her, so she said yes, and
She said, whatever, fine, yeah.
yeah. But anyway, so that was quite a fun story, and then getting to meet him when I went there. He's now a photographer for Lifetime, um, and so when I came into town, I got a chance to meet him, and then there's the Gravel Cycling Hall of Fame there in Emporia, and his bikes are on display and some pictures and previous winners, Yuri, etc. It was really cool. So that was another highlight. Um,
Nice.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
got me thinking. That might be a good guess if you could track him down. Remember, was it Dave Weens that won Leadville 5 years in a row?
yeah,
And then he didn't. And the reason that popped into my head is the next year, the year Lance went and did it, he didn't like he came in second. Lance came in first, and it was, you know, I think Weens is. I'm not taking anything away from him, but it was before it became like all the pros started showing up, right? I mean, there was definitely some competition. I'm not taking anything away from him, but
yeah,
I see a lot of parallels between what you were just talking about and yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about it with the these top level racers showing up at these events. But personally, I think it's really cool.
That's great. That's good.
Yeah. I mean,
It's good for the cycling community. It's good for everything, I think. So,
totally. I completely agree. I guess maybe I might feel different if I was a US domestic pro at a high level, and then all of a sudden these world tour guys were showing up. Maybe I wouldn't feel the same way.
or if you had won it 4 years in a row, and or 5 years in a row, and then all of a sudden Lance shows up with his army of people, and suddenly you're not, so yeah, there might be a different perspective on
Hey,
it,
you know
but
what? Just like the Reebok boys,
Yeah.
yeah,
they need to be worried about you. Don't concede the race.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, no, I think it's really a positive for sure. And all right, so obviously the
what
tour's on. Oh, go ahead.
wait, one thing I was going to say, and I don't know, maybe this is a fitting closing or what, but one thing I was going to say about this podcast, which I don't know if it speaks to the smaller community. I don't know if it speaks to we just happen to get good people, or maybe we're incredibly charming. I don't know what it is, but on a one note, like it's kept us three, connected in a lot of ways, maybe more frequently than we would in the past. But the number of times that I've reached out to a guest over post the interview and how responsive they've been. Um, Jack Ultra Cyclist, we had a long exchange. Like I had him on, and then a friend of my son's committed suicide, and there's been a back and forth, and we've had some exchanges over text and Instagram. Phil Guyman and Yuri have come through, and I needed donations for some charity events that we did. Like they sent Phil's cookies or um, uh, goo. I connected, you told me about the long COVID thing. I connected a friend of mine with Matt Fitzgerald because Matt had long COVID.
Yeah.
It's just this thing. And I mean, the stories go on and on. A couple of exchanges with Marie. Um, I don't know. It's kind of cool that, yeah, it just kind of, I think I even one right here. Yuri, when Yuri sent me the thing of goo for the charity ride, he sent a little handwritten note, and so I go, I'm keeping this thing. This guy's in the fucking Hall of Fame, like, you know.
Yeah. Frame
So
it, put it on your wall there.
yeah, I've got to. I know it's right over here somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. Whatever it is. There's been numerous times where people have reached out to me, or I've reached out to them, and everyone's always come through. So it's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I feel really fortunate to spend all these years in the bike business, and I really do love the industry and want the best for it. But it's just cool being able to bring a lot of these people. It started off with just people I knew, and now we've grown the community to, I mean, it's way more than people I know. We're reaching out and getting more guests, and it's just been really fun getting to know people and sharing their stories. That point, one that comes to mind when I think of that is Matt Harvey from Enduro Bearings, and we had Matt on, and man, what a great guy, great thing that he's built in enduro bearings, and guy born and raised in Oakland, and has his business, his global business in Oakland still to this day, and just really just a soft-spoken, smart, uh, just great guy, and I would have never have met him had it not been for the podcast,
Hmm.
who knows? Maybe I would have, it's a small industry, but certainly the podcast brought, us together. And then after the podcast, I even went to Enduro Bearings and got a tour and had this really great experience there. And we
It's
stayed
quite
in
a
touch. And
facility. It's
yeah,
quite a facility.
it is. It's really
Yeah.
cool, and yeah, so yeah, no, I agree, Dave. The community is really super fun, and it's great to stay in touch with these folks that we've had on the podcast over the years.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's one of the things, the doing working in the bike business, working in any industry, I think is a grind. and it's easy to get, sometimes, there's good days and bad days and, it's things you look forward to and things you have to do and things like that. But the podcast is something that I always look forward to every week. It's like uh, the guest gets identified beforehand, and then you spend a little time kind of looking into their business and who they are, some of the things that they've done, and then you get to have them on and interview them. And it's something, yeah, I want to keep on doing, man. I love it. And yeah, hopefully we can bring more of these stories to light.
Yeah.
Well, you've done a great job, man. I mean, 200
Yeah.
episodes, Mike, and I think you're really kind of the anchor, not only just, for the podcast and really the voice of the podcast, but I mean, just in a lot of these friendships, Dave and I and countless others that have been on here.
Yeah.
So, thanks for bringing that together and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
building a
Yeah.
community. Yeah, it's awesome,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, kudos to you, brother.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And I do feel like Bo Grant was a big part of, I mean, without Bo, we would have never got started,
All right.
and so he was definitely somebody that gave me the confidence to try to do something like this, and then also some of the tools early on. We really didn't have. I had no idea what I was doing, and Bo was the guy that knew all the tech stuff behind the scenes and got it set up for us. So definitely, he's a big part of why I'm still doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kudos to him as well. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, listen, I appreciate you, taking time off. I mean, you got Dave's in a completely different industry. This is coming out of left field, and made time to get on here. And then Chris, obviously, always great having you on, and appreciate all your contributions you guys have had to the podcast. And yeah, we'll just keep plugging away at this thing.
Awesome, man.
Wish you much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wish you much
Congrats
success.
again.
All right,
All right.
episode 200 in the books. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate all you out there, and we'll see you next week.
All right.
If you like what we're doing here at Cycle Jerks Podcast and you would like to support us, please check out our website at cyclejerkspodcast.buzzsprout.com. Hit the subscribe button. We shout out all subscribers, so get on it. Another way you can support the podcast would be by giving us a 5-star review on whatever streaming platform that you're listening on. We appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Cycle Jerks.
Hey, get out of the road, dummy.
Cycle Jerks Podcast.